The ocean split open with a scream of silence, and then came the strike. A pod of whales drifted through dark waters, unaware of the shadow gliding above. Eleanor whispered, "Stay close, the current is uneasy." Jonah answered, "The sea feels wrong tonight." The calf surged upward, its breath a burst of fragile mist trembling in the moonlight. Suddenly, the water erupted. A shiver of fins cut through like knives. The predator's jaw snapped shut, and silence shattered into terror. Eleanor cried, "Keep moving! Do not falter!" The calf stumbled, its tail thrashing, eyes wide with confusion. Jonah roared, "Protect the young one, we cannot lose him." The sea churned red, and the waves swallowed the sound of cries. From the abyss below, another dark form rose, relentless and merciless. The pod tightened, bodies pressed together, hearts hammering. The calf slipped behind Eleanor, trembling in desperate fear. The storm of motion bent light into chaos, a theater of survival. Jonah whispered, "The ocean chooses who remains." The predator circled again, each pass colder than the last. In the silence between strikes, the whales sang a broken note. The song faltered, drowned by the roar of the hunt, and the darkness closed in, sealing their fate in fear. The sea quieted, but it was not peace. Eleanor whispered, "The silence is a trap." Jonah replied, "We move or we vanish." The calf drifted close, trembling, his breath small clouds in the water. Shadows loomed still. The ocean held its breath. Jonah surged ahead, his voice sharp. "Stay behind me." Eleanor followed, her song breaking into a warning cry. The calf pressed close, trembling. The ocean above rippled, shadows shifting like knives. Fear swelled, and every heartbeat struck louder. The predator circled wider, patience stretched thin. Eleanor cried, "She will strike again." Jonah growled, "Let her come, we will fight." The calf whimpered softly, his tail thrashing weakly. The sea tightened around them, waiting for the clash. The water darkened. Jonah roared, "Now," as he surged forward. Eleanor struck sideways, her tail carving a wall. The calf was thrust back, safe but shaken. The predator lunged, jaws snapping. The sea burst with violence, and survival tore through silence. The ocean calmed after the clash, but unease lingered. Eleanor swam close to the calf, her voice trembling, "You must hold on, little one." Jonah drifted nearby, his body heavy with exhaustion. The calf's song rose, weak, soft, trembling like a flickering flame. Eleanor whispered, "Do not be afraid, the sea will guide us." Jonah's gaze pierced the darkness. The sea takes as much as it gives. The calf pressed his body close to Eleanor, small breath forming fragile clouds. Above, moonlight pierced the water in silver shafts, scattering across scars and shadows. Eleanor's heart throbbed, her song swelling with determination. The calf's body quivered, but he echoed her melody with fragile innocence. Jonah's song joined, deep and resonant, wrapping around them like a shield. Together their voices wove through the currents, fragile against the endless ocean. Yet in their song there was hope, however fleeting. The current softened, carrying the faint vibration of song. Eleanor whispered, "Our voices must remain." The calf answered with a fragile hum, broken but sincere. Jonah swam closer, his tone steady. Every voice counts, even the smallest. The calf turned, wide-eyed, trembling as light swept across his face. Eleanor pressed against him, body warm with reassurance. Her song rose higher, echoing memories of generations past. Jonah's song followed, deep like the ocean's heart. The calf's voice faltered, but did not break, as if clinging to theirs. In the silence between notes, the ocean listened. A thread of survival bound them together, fragile yet unyielding. Eleanor whispered, "Sing, little one, so the sea will remember you." The calf closed his eyes and gave everything he had. His faint song bled into the deep, fragile, but unforgettable. The sea stretched vast and endless, shadows drifting like ghosts. Eleanor murmured, "The world is wide, but our family is small." Jonah responded, "Size matters little when voices carry." The calf tilted upward, gazing at faint starlight filtering down. His body trembled, but he sang again, fragile notes spiraling upward. Eleanor joined, her song warm and steady, wrapping around his sound like shelter. Jonah's voice rose with thunder, weaving strength into their melody. The three voices merged, fragile yet unbroken. The ocean shivered, as if touched by memory. Eleanor whispered, "So long as we sing, we are never alone." The calf pressed close, his body brushing her side. The water glowed with faint silver ripples, echoing their bond. Their song lingered, fragile but true, carried on unseen currents. Jonah surged forward, scars flashing under pale light. "We cannot linger," he warned, voice stern. Eleanor replied softly, "But he must learn to breathe in rhythm." The calf's body shook as he rose toward the surface. His breath burst free in a frail spout of mist, vanishing in the night air. Eleanor guided him upward with care, her body pressing gently against his. Jonah circled, his watchful eye fixed on every shadow. The calf trembled as he descended back into the dark, his heart racing. Eleanor soothed him with song, her voice calm and steady. Jonah's voice joined, deep but wary, never free of tension. The calf hummed faintly, courage flickering through fear. Eleanor whispered, "You are stronger than the sea believes." His small echo carried through the water, fragile yet defiant. The night deepened, and silence pressed heavy on their songs. Eleanor swam close, her tone solemn, "Our family grows smaller every year." Jonah answered with a low rumble, "But we remain, and that must be enough." The calf nestled against Eleanor, trembling but calmer. He looked upward, small eyes reflecting silver fragments of starlight. Eleanor's song deepened, carrying sorrow and hope. Jonah's voice answered, raw and steady, weaving endurance into their melody. The calf's hum joined theirs, fragile yet pure. The three voices merged into one, stretching into the endless sea. The ocean absorbed their song, echoing faintly into the abyss. Eleanor whispered, "This is our gift to the deep, to endure." Jonah growled, "And to be remembered." The calf pressed closer, his trembling fading. For a moment, their voices felt eternal. The ocean shifted, heavy with unease. Eleanor whispered, "The currents are not right." Jonah scanned the dock, his scars catching faint moonlight. "Danger waits where silence grows," he muttered. The calf pressed against Eleanor, trembling, eyes wide with fear. Suddenly, the sea quaked with low vibrations, distant but growing stronger. Eleanor cried, "They are not alone." Jonah surged ahead, his body tensing for battle. Shadows swirled in the abyss, shapes circling, waiting. The calf's breath burst in panic streams, scattering like broken stars. Eleanor sang low, her voice trembling. "Stay close, little one." Jonah roared, "Be ready." From the darkness, new predators revealed themselves, sharp fins slicing water. The ocean churned, every heartbeat pounding in waves. Fear pressed tight, and the family braced for the storm to come. Jonah surged forward, eyes sharp. "They surround us." Eleanor's body trembled, her voice soft, "Do not break, we hold together." The calf whimpered, tail flicking weakly. Shadows swarmed, predator fins slicing closer. Eleanor lifted her song, trembling but defiant, filling the water with echoes. Jonah's voice thundered, a wall against encroaching silence. The calf's voice joined, faint but piercing, desperate to be heard. The predators circled tighter, bodies glinting like knives in shifting light. Eleanor cried, "Stay close!" Jonah growled, "We do not run." The sea churned violently as fins flashed nearer, jaws snapping. Fear coiled like a storm, pressing down on every breath. The three voices clung to each other, fragile against the roar of hunger. The attack came sudden, a blur of violence. Predator jaws snapped inches from the calf. Eleanor swung wide, her body striking water with explosive force. Jonah lunged forward, teeth bared, his roar vibrating through the ocean. The calf shrieked, thrashing in panic. Eleanor cried, "Stay with me." Jonah bellowed, "Fight." The predators swirled like shadows, sleek bodies darting in and out. Teeth scraped flesh, blood clouding the water. Eleanor trembled, but she held the calf close, her eye blazing with fierce protection. Jonah's massive frame blocked a strike, scars tearing open. The calf pressed tighter, desperate for safety. The sea boiled with violence, shadows cutting closer every second. In their struggle, every note of song turned to survival. The calf drifted back, gasping for breath. Eleanor cried, "Stay with me, hold on." Jonah spun, his massive frame colliding with a predator, sending it tumbling. But more circled, relentless, their eyes glowing like pale fire. Eleanor shielded the calf, trembling but unyielding. The calf pressed close, his body shivering, small voice breaking into a fragile cry. Jonah growled, "We are not finished." He surged upward, forcing predators to scatter. The ocean twisted with blood and shadow, waves of chaos rolling through silence. Eleanor whispered fiercely, "Breathe. Little one, the sea still listens." The calf hummed, faint but alive, voice trembling. Jonah circled back, body battered, scars deeper, but his eyes defiant. The predators gathered again, hungrier, sharper, merciless. The predators struck together, chaos exploding in the deep. Eleanor cried out, voice cracking, "Do not let go." Jonah roared, slamming his body into the swarm. The calf shrieked, terrified, his body flailing. Blood swirled, painting the sea in scarlet clouds. Eleanor shielded him desperately, trembling but unyielding. Jonah's frame shook as jaws tore across his side, his body straining but refusing to fall. Eleanor sang louder, a piercing cry of defiance weaving through the chaos. The calf's weak hum joined hers, fragile but brave. Jonah bellowed, voice thunderous, shaking predators back for a breath. The ocean groaned, currents ripping apart in storming violence. Eleanor whispered fiercely, "We endure." The predators circled again, relentless, waiting for weakness. And the sea darkened with dread. The battle paused, silence breaking through chaos. Eleanor whispered, "Why do they not finish us?" Jonah panted, scars bleeding, "They wait." The predators circled, but did not strike, eyes glowing with something deeper than hunger. The calf whimpered, voice trembling in the water. Eleanor pressed close, her heart heavy. "There is meaning here." Jonah growled, uncertain. One predator surged forward, but instead of killing, she sang. Her voice cut through the sea like lightning. "Oh." Eleanor gasped, "She sings." Jonah froze, his eyes wide. The predator's song carried sorrow, raw and unyielding. The calf whimpered but listened, small voice echoing faintly. Eleanor whispered, "She is not only hunter, she is mother." Jonah's voice broke, "The truth is crueler than teeth." The ocean trembled with revelation. The predator's song deepened, echoing grief. Eleanor whispered, "She too protects." Jonah growled, torn between rage and recognition. The calf trembled, wide eyes reflecting both fear and wonder. The predator circled slowly, her body scarred, flanks hollow with hunger. Eleanor cried softly, "She is mother, like me." Jonah answered bitterly, "Then she fights to feed her own." The predator's song cracked, breaking like a wounded cry. The calf hummed weakly, his voice answering hers in fragile innocence. Jonah's body tensed, but his gaze faltered. The sea shifted, predator and prey bound by grief, divided by need. Eleanor's voice rose, trembling with sorrow. "We are not so different." The ocean held its breath, truth hanging heavy like a storm. The ocean filled with two songs colliding like storms. Eleanor cried, "Her hunger is her cage." Jonah thundered, "Her need is our doom." The predator's voice wove through water, aching with desperation. The calf answered, trembling but brave. Their melodies clashed, grief against hope, sorrow against survival. Eleanor pressed close to calf, her heart torn in two. Jonah roared, his voice a wall of fury, yet sorrow beneath. The predator swam nearer, her body shaking with weakness. Eleanor whispered, "She suffers as we do." Jonah growled, "Then she takes what we love." The calf's voice rose higher, small but piercing. His song touched both mother and hunter. For a moment, time shattered, and enemies became mirrors. The predator drew closer, scars gleaming. Eleanor whispered, "She is not shadow but mirror." Jonah's body tensed, voice harsh, "And still she will strike." The calf whimpered, pressing into Eleanor's side. The predator hesitated, her eye glowing with conflict. Eleanor sang, voice rich with sorrow and defiance, weaving hope into despair. The predator's voice cracked, filled with longing. Jonah thundered, "Mercy does not change hunger." Eleanor answered, "But it changes us." The calf hummed faintly, his trembling voice cutting the silence. The predator drifted back, her tail slicing the water slowly. For a heartbeat, death loosened its grip. The sea glowed faintly, caught between violence and mercy. Truth swam heavy, reshaping the night. The ocean groaned as silence fell. Eleanor whispered, "The sea binds us all in hunger and loss." Jonah's gaze hardened, but his voice shook. "Then survival is crueler than I imagined." The calf pressed close, humming faintly, his voice carrying innocence. The predator turned, her body weak, her song fading. Eleanor cried, "Her family waits in hunger, just as mine clings to life." Jonah's eyes darkened. Her truth does not erase her threat. The calf's hum echoed between them, fragile bridge of sound. The predator drifted away, her body trembling into shadow. Eleanor whispered, "We are haunted by the same sea." Jonah growled, "And it takes more than it gives." Their voices lingered, torn between kinship and survival, echoing endlessly. The ocean cracked open with violence. Eleanor cried, "Now, hold fast!" Jonah roared, charging through blood and shadow. The calf shrieked, pressed against Eleanor's body, trembling. The predators surged as one, hunger tearing through hesitation. Eleanor swung her massive tail, currents bursting with force. Jonah collided with the predator, scars splitting open in red clouds. The calf's voice cut sharp, a desperate cry echoing in chaos. Eleanor whispered fiercely, "Sing louder, survive." Jonah bellowed, "We will not fall." The sea convulsed with brutality, bodies colliding in thunderous motion. The predator's jaws snapped, water boiling with violence. Eleanor's body shook, but her song roared stronger, piercing the deep. The calf echoed her cry, fragile but unyielding. The storm of survival exploded in sound and blood. Jonah surged upward, his roar shaking the sea. Eleanor screamed, "Protect the calf!" The predators swarmed, jaws snapping like thunder. Eleanor's eye blazed, her body striking in desperate arcs. The calf whimpered, but lifted his voice, trembling hum slicing through chaos. Jonah's body shook, blood trailing as predators clung to him. He roared, thrashing with ferocity, throwing them off. Eleanor pressed closer to the calf, shielding him with her body. The predators circled again, relentless, water storming with violence. Eleanor cried, "Hold on, little one." Jonah bellowed, "Fight until nothing remains." Their songs bled through the sea, fierce, shattered, unyielding. The ocean groaned, echoing with thunderous struggle, a storm of survival bound by love and blood. The predators struck harder, merciless and endless. Eleanor roared, "Do not let go." Jonah slammed into one, tearing water apart with fury. His body split with new wounds, blood clouding the current. The calf cried, pressed into Eleanor, eyes wide with terror. Eleanor's voice rose, piercing the abyss with unbroken song. Jonah's voice thundered, shaking the predators into hesitation. The calf echoed faintly, trembling but alive. One predator lunged toward the calf, jaws open. Eleanor swung violently, her strike sending waves of foam and blood. Jonah roared, crashing into another, scars burning. The sea boiled in chaos, every heartbeat pounding like war drums. Eleanor whispered, "Survive." Jonah bellowed, "Endure." The clash raged, brutal, magnificent, merciless. The sea screamed with blood and song. Eleanor cried, "Breathe, little one." The calf surged upward, breaking surface with fragile spout. Jonah roared below, smashing predators with raw power. Eleanor followed, shielding calf, her body shivering with exhaustion. Predators surged from all sides, jaws clashing like thunder. Eleanor sang, her voice shattering silence, a cry of life against death. Jonah's song joined, fierce and defiant, blood pouring from his wounds. The calf's small voice pierced between, trembling yet sharp. The predators faltered, their formation broken, chaos fracturing their strength. Eleanor whispered, "We will endure." Jonah bellowed, "Until the last breath." The sea churned in violence, but hope bled through song. In chaos, survival clawed its fragile place. The climax roared like thunder through the sea. Eleanor cried, "This is the moment." Jonah roared, body blazing with defiance, ramming predators into blood-stained water. The calf shrieked, his hum trembling but fierce. Eleanor shielded him, body torn but unyielding. The predators lunged in desperation, chaos fracturing their unity. Eleanor's song surged, a storm of sorrow and strength. Jonah bellowed with final force, his body shattering the swarm apart. The calf sang high, fragile yet piercing, voice cutting through destruction. The sea convulsed, water splitting with violence, blood drifting like clouds. Eleanor whispered, "You are life." Jonah roared, "You are hope." The calf's song lingered, trembling but unstoppable. The predators faltered, shadows scattering. The ocean groaned, climax sealed in sound and blood. The sea fell silent, broken only by drifting blood. Eleanor whispered, "It is over." Jonah floated nearby, his body scarred and bleeding heavily. The calf pressed close, trembling but alive. Eleanor's voice quivered, "You endured." Jonah rumbled weakly, "The cost is carved deep." His body shook, every movement slower. The calf cried softly, his small voice breaking in sorrow. Eleanor's song rose, low and mournful, weaving grief into the current. Jonah answered faintly, his strength fading like an ebbing tide. The sea glowed silver under the moon, currents carrying fragments of their struggle. Eleanor pressed close to Jonah, her heart heavy. She whispered, "You gave everything." Jonah's voice trembled, "So he may live." The silence of the ocean swallowed their words, eternal and absolute. Eleanor swam slowly, guiding the calf. Jonah followed behind, his body trembling with weakness. The calf turned, wide-eyed. "Why does he falter?" Eleanor whispered, "Because he gave all." Jonah's voice cracked, "Do not fear, little one." Blood drifted in spirals from his wounds, fading into the current. Eleanor pressed her body closer to his, lending silent strength. Jonah sang weakly, voice fading with each note. The calf answered, trembling but strong, echoing his melody. Eleanor's song carried both sorrow and hope, rising steady. The sea seemed to weep with them, currents pulling gently. Jonah whispered, "Sing for me, so I remain." Eleanor cried softly, her song breaking with grief. The calf's voice soared higher, fragile but fierce, carrying legacy into the deep. The moonlight cut deeper through the water, as if the sky mourned. Eleanor whispered, "Stay with us." Jonah's voice trembled, "I already stay in him." The calf pressed tightly against Eleanor, humming faintly. Jonah's body swayed, every beat heavier, weaker. Eleanor cried, her song swelling, "You are not gone." Jonah rumbled softly, "I am memory now." The calf whimpered, trembling with sorrow, his hum breaking. Eleanor nudged Jonah gently, desperate to hold him near. Jonah's scars glowed faintly as blood drifted away. He whispered, "Protect him." Eleanor's voice cracked, "Always." The calf sang louder, fragile but fierce, as if fighting silence itself. Jonah's song faded, leaving only echoes carried by the endless sea. The ocean grew calm, as if mourning. Eleanor whispered, "He is gone." The calf cried, voice trembling into the silence. Jonah drifted lower, his body fading into shadow. Eleanor swam above him, her body quivering with grief. The calf pressed against her, singing faintly, fragile but insistent. Eleanor's song rose, trembling yet steady, weaving his memory into the deep. The calf echoed, voice small but unyielding, carrying his father's strength. Eleanor whispered, "You will not be forgotten." The sea glowed faintly with their melody, shimmering like tears. The silence of loss pressed heavy, but their voices endured. Jonah sank deeper into darkness, his scars gleaming faintly before fading. Eleanor's heart broke, yet her song did not stop. It rose, eternal. The current carried Jonah away, into silence. Eleanor whispered, "He remains in us." The calf sang, his fragile voice steady, trembling but resolute. Eleanor's song joined, weaving with his, creating harmony that cut through grief. Their voices rose together, fragile yet unbroken, echoing in vast darkness. The ocean trembled with memory, silver ripples glowing faintly. Eleanor pressed against the calf, her body heavy but steadfast. She whispered, "You are hope." The calf's song grew stronger, piercing the silence. Their melody reached outward, carried by the current, boundless and eternal. Jonah's memory pulsed in their voices, haunting and unyielding. The sea listened, indifferent but vast, holding their song in its endless depths. Together they endured, their voices an echo against extinction. The ocean stretched endless and quiet. Eleanor whispered, "We are fewer now." The calf pressed close, his small body trembling but steady. His voice rose, fragile yet piercing, echoing through the deep. Eleanor joined, her tone rich with sorrow and strength. Together their song spiraled upward, reaching toward moonlit surface. The current carried echoes of Jonah, faint but unbroken. Eleanor whispered, "He remains in you." The calf answered with louder hum, trembling but resolute. The ocean trembled as if listening, silver ripples glowing faint. Shadows drifted in silence, no predators, only memory. Eleanor pressed close, "Sing so the sea never forgets." Their voices lingered, boundless, eternal, a fragile echo of survival. The calf rose toward the surface, his body small but defiant. Eleanor whispered, "Breathe, and the world will hear you." He broke the water, fragile spout glittering in moonlight. The night sky stretched wide, silent stars watching. Eleanor surfaced beside him, her body trembling but steady. She murmured, "Your breath carries his memory." The calf's spout burst again, louder, shining silver against the night. Eleanor sang low, her voice carrying through water and air. Their echoes traveled into distance, fragile but eternal. The sea groaned gently, as if mourning with them. Eleanor pressed close, her heart heavy yet unyielding. "You live, and so he lives." The calf sang louder, fragile spark blazing against the infinite dark. The sea calmed, vast and indifferent. Eleanor swam slowly, her body weary, guiding the calf. He pressed close, humming softly, fragile voice unbroken. Eleanor whispered, "You are last of his line." The calf answered with trembling cry, his tone rising higher. Eleanor sang, her voice echoing across the abyss, weaving grief into strength. Together their song carried beyond sight, fragile echoes of hope. Shadows passed below, but none came close. The sea seemed to listen, holding their voices in silence. Eleanor whispered, "This song is memory." The calf pressed closer, trembling but brave. Their voices merged, sorrow and defiance entwined. The endless ocean carried their song far beyond darkness, into eternity. The night deepened, silence pressing against song. Eleanor whispered, "Every voice fades, but echoes remain." The calf sang louder, fragile but piercing, his voice trembling yet unstoppable. Eleanor joined, her tone weaving around his. Sorrow softened into strength. Their harmony cut through silence, glowing threads in the deep. The sea glimmered faintly, touched by their melody. Eleanor pressed close, her eye glowing with fierce pride. "You are his echo," she whispered. The calf's hum grew stronger, carrying memory forward. The ocean remained vast, indifferent, eternal, but their song refused to vanish. Shadows drifted in distance, powerless to silence their bond. The echo lingered, sharp and haunting, bound to the endless water. The final note rose, trembling yet eternal. Eleanor whispered, "Sing, so the sea remembers." The calf sang, his fragile cry piercing the abyss. Their voices rose together, sorrow woven into defiance. The current carried echoes outward, into vast nothingness. Eleanor pressed close, her body trembling, but her voice unyielding. The calf's hum grew louder, his spark burning against silence. Together they sang Jonah's memory into the sea. The ocean listened, vast, indifferent, eternal. Their song became echo, haunting, unforgettable, carried into forever. The silence that followed was heavy, sharp, absolute. Eleanor whispered the last line, "We remain, even in fewer voices." The calf's cry pierced the night, last echo lingering like a wound that never heals.